Okay. Is this number 4? No.
5.
5, please. There were 2 questions on one note.
Right.
This is number 4. Okay. All right. This says, can the jury review the dash cam video at the apartment? Yes. So, Mr. Dwayne, get that queued up for me. I will note that this note is not from the person who was identified as the foreperson initially. I don't know that it matters particularly, but I think that I'm going to advise them to, that the foreperson needs to communicate each juror's request to me going forward. Does anybody have any objection to that? I think that's just proper. So I'm just going to say we will get that set up.
Maybe somebody else is taking over.
Maybe this, you know, so. I just wrote, we'll get that set up. Communication should be from the foreperson. The foreperson should communicate the rest of should communicate requests of the other jurors as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I don't think it's significant particularly, but it is. I don't usually. Take that note back to them and tell them we're getting the video set up. We'll pull them out in just a minute to watch it. Yeah, they don't need to come in. This is the one with the less than stellar sound, right? So.
And now one thing, we're just waiting for one to get up here after.
And we also forwarded, we skipped some, you have the notes. Okay, so for the record, this is the body cam video of Officer Wichita. When it was played for the jury during the trial, the parties consented to skipping some sections. We're going to only play what they saw during the trial initially. I think there's a fair amount of dead time in the video. And so Ms. Holland will make sure that we do that and note that in the same way. Let me check this. There's wind, which is being picked up by the officer's body mic. So the sound is not great. So if you will play a few minutes and let's make sure we've got it as good as we can get it before we bring them in.
Judge, could we also caution the jurors that even though they've seen this a second time, to not...
Right, they consider all the evidence.
Right.
Yep. I think that's as good as it gets.
They tried to.
I was the person there. I was there with them.
Yeah.
Well, I was there with
They know well, I know they're all.
All right, that's just as as good as it's gonna get. All right, you can bring her in. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to watch I took the note to mean the body cam video. That's the one we want to see, right? Okay. So we're going to watch that now. Go ahead, Ms. Holland.
superhero. Caitlin Purple. K-A-T-E-L-Y-N Purple. You want to write with Georgia? Or you want to read it? Okay. I'm waiting on the cop that know where it is because we can't go in and we'll get a house again or whatever. Mine. I thought it.
What's the name of the phone number you just called out?
Phone number is 478-998-7199.
Okay. Thank you. I forgot to get this information on there. So. What's that? Did you? Oh, yes, you was. Completely, had this numbers one up. I'm gonna write down my name, and y'all really do services for me, you call the police department, and leave a message for me. I really appreciate it. And I understand that most of the time, I had to let you know that you he was sitting in the tailpipe of the ambulance, and I actually talked to the psychiatrist, he was like, you better pull over, and I was like, no, they got an ambulance with 1 feet behind, nobody's going to go in between.
I'm sorry. I'm being worked so far, and I was trying so hard to get here. At that point, that's what you're destroying? You like police officer? Oh, yes, now.
I don't want you to drive. You don't need to do what I want to do. Stickers. Please put them in. Is that a warm up? Okay. See what this? I'm messing with one time.
I'm sure you had it.
an accident took all.
Exactly. And that's why I say my baby knows every firefighter is walking. You think he's a firefighter? I do.
Give us a second, okay? I'll be done juvenile because we contact out the juvenile and then run with everything. So, to get out here, legal space, outside the house. Unfortunately, I've got stuff like this. Wedding times, and it won't be until a day and a week or two. And then all of a sudden, you'll be able to agree. But let me preface that by also saying, know that if you do start feeling depressed, know that there's resources. Okay? cases from everywhere in Georgia. GBI is like the FBI in Georgia. So literally, like, we get DUIs, we get blood from somebody, it goes to the GBI crime lab. They get shell cases, they get guns, they get all sorts of different stuff that they have to process and do. And unfortunately, there's other scenarios like this that happen across the state, so they have to take some kind of high profile thing that happens where they need to get that done for whatever reason.
I was hoping that you change the sheet when I moved to the bed, but I did pour all the bed on the couch. Okay, here. I'm hoping that you do it like that.
When Brother Tom gets over here, they also have our correction unit for you. So they're going to do that. And they process thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of corrections. So they know what it is.
They push my knees, so now when they
you work at Military High School in?
I work in the prison college.
Okay.
And I do the enrollment program for the high school. So
Okay.
they send me to the high school that they are in over. I raised with Jones, but they hired somebody so they can send me to the Providence one and Jones. So,
So that's either one high school, you know, okay?
one high school and the house country academy.
Okay, yeah.
So I go there and I do classes to the general high school.
No, what kind of classes you teach?
I'm actually got hired on to be a science teacher, teaching programming, engineering. Usually that's what you do, I have to try, I have to live, so I did really order it. Yeah, it's illegal rights. I apologize for being out of forms, so I just handwritten one. This is sent over to the House County Sheriff's Office, and I'm reading. I said, hi, you'll preach your name, you live here, good sir. You guys in the car with you? Looks all right, that's what you do. But anyways, preach name here, it's home, or I let you read his name there, which is if you get a Washington County Sheriff's Office, or out of the police department, send service residents to play any item related to this case, and to take any necessary photos. I understand I have the right to withdraw the scene at any time, and request a search warrant be sought. Print and sign. North Hampton, there's broken couch, there's broken floor, I can't. Didn't come up, learned about there is a broken bed, it was just last night. And the back of the morning, they said, I don't know, when he walked out. Yes, I was.
Well, hopefully, carry along, that's all we want to do. You guys are put.
There you are. I just want to let you know,
Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, I got your note about foreperson and you may resume your deliberations. Thank you. As they were, just a second. As they were coming in, they sent me a note, they have changed forepersons. And it's signed by both the former and the new, so that is clear. All right. Let me see council up here. All right, we'll stand in recess till we hear from them.
All right.
And I didn't know y'all, but that was states 14.
Correct.
Correct. We said what it was, but I don't think anybody said the exhibit number, so it states 14 for the record. Alright, y'all may see it. The jury has sent out a note that they are deadlocked. They did not include a count. I am inclined, obviously I'm going to Allen charge them. I am inclined to ask them without which way, but just ask them for a count. Because I think it matters if they're 6'6" or 3'9", or what have you. Or I can just bring to Allen charge and we can wait on that.
If we are to inquire as to the count, I think we should also inquire in the count, meaning what the vote is between the 12, as to if it's specific to a count, if they have reached a verdict on any count.
I agree. Are they deadlocked on all 7 counts? And if so, without telling me which way, what is the count? Are we comfortable with that?
Yeah, what is the vote for count?
What is the, yes.
And Judge, I'm okay with that. We did that with Judge, on occasion I had Judge Adams, and it's the first time that because the foreperson of the jury volunteered what the count was.
Right, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
And I don't have a problem.
And it is certainly improper for me to inquire which way. I just am interested, because I think in evaluating how much longer I ask them to deliberate, that is relevant information for us to consider, and whatever, however y'all want to proceed. So, all right, it just says, are you deadlocked on all 7 counts? And without telling me which way, please tell me that count. By that, I mean how many one way, how many the other way. Does that make sense? All right, let's send that out and sort of see where we are. I'm going to pull up the Allen charge. I know that there was, at least as to some count in some opinion yesterday, a juror who had indicated that they were not going to change their mind, but I still think it is probably appropriate to Allen charge them before we make any decisions. All right, they are deadlocked on all the counts. The numbers are not the same on all the counts. They range from 11-1 to 7-5. So I'm gonna Allen charge them and we'll see. But it sounds like, and count 1, they're 3-9, count 2, they're 4-8, count 3, they're 9-3, count 4, they're 11-1, count 5, they're 7-5, count 6, they're 7-5, count 7, they're 11-1. So, bring them in for me, please. I'm probably going to check back with them for lunch at 12:30, 12:45, if we've not heard from them.
I just didn't leave it on him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've now been deliberating on this case for a period of time, and I think it's proper, based on your notes to me, to advise you further in regard to the desirability of an agreement if possible. The case has been exhaustively tried by both sides. It's been submitted to you for decision and verdict if possible, and not for disagreement. It's the law that a unanimous verdict is required. And while this verdict must be the conclusion of each juror and not a mere acquiescence of the jurors in order to reach an agreement, it is nevertheless necessary for all jurors to examine the issues and questions submitted to them with candor and fairness and with a proper regard for and deference to the opinions of each other. A proper regard for the judgment of others will greatly aid us in forming our own judgment. Each juror should listen to the arguments of the other jurors with a disposition to be convinced by them. If the members of the jury differ in their view of the evidence, the difference of opinion should cause all of them to scrutinize the evidence more carefully and re-examine the grounds for their opinions. Your duty is to decide the issues submitted to you if you can conscientiously do so. In conferring, you should lay aside all mere pride of opinion and bear in mind that the jury room is no place for taking up one side or the other of a cause or maintaining a spirit of controversy either side of a cause. You should bear in mind at all times that as jurors you should not be advocates for either side. You should keep in mind the truth as it appears from the evidence examined in light of the instructions of the court. I'm going to ask you to retire to the jury room for a reasonable time, examine your differences in a spirit of fairness and candor, and try to arrive at a verdict. I will also tell you that if you have a verdict on some counts and not other counts, if you will notify the court of that. All right? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll ask you to step back to the jury room. If you need a break, you may ask for one, just let the bailiff know, but please remember not to talk about the case unless all 12 of you are in the room, okay?
the response?
I'm not gonna share the response because they did not, follow my instructions exactly about which way the count went.
All right.
So y'all can ask me if you think differently, but I don't think it's proper for you to know which way the count is at this time. And I'll be glad to tell you what the count is on each charge again, if that's helpful.
That would be helpful.
Okay. So on count 1, it was 3-9. Count 2, 4-8. Count 3, 9-3. Count 4, 1-11. Count 5, 7-5. Count 6, 7-5. Count 7, 11-1.
Thank you, Honor.
All right. We'll take a recess. We'll hear from them further, or if I've not heard from them by about 12:45.
The lights on.
Okay. Bob,
I'm sorry.
my guess is they're going to take a break. They've not had one this morning.
Want to smoke break, Judge?
That's fine. Ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, we'll take a break. Please make sure that you are not talking about the case in their presence or anywhere where they might overhear you. Make sure you're steering clear, okay? We'll take a recess until we hear from them.
All right.
I'm going to send them to lunch, get I don't know that I'm going to do it on the record this week. Is your client right out there?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, here.
Everything go well in Statesboro yesterday.
It did. You know, taking your kid to college is a lot more complicated than it was in 1989 when I went. To inquire about progress before we send them, or just send them?
I think it's been 15 minutes, yeah.
Okay, that was where I was at, but checking with y'all. All right, bring them in, please. Are y'all comfortable with me excusing alternates?
Yes, ma'am.
At this
So you
juncture?
mean excusing them outright? No.
No?
No.
Okay,
I mean, if they, sometimes.
that's fine.
Maybe not.
break. It's 12:25. I'm going to ask you to be back about 1:30-ish. If you're back before that, all 12 of you can start deliberating whenever all 12 of you are back. If somebody's late, don't start until everybody's back, okay? I know I've said it, but I say it every time. Don't talk about the case. Don't let anybody talk about it with you. Don't review any of the TV coverage or what have you. Go get a sandwich, and we'll be looking for you to come back about 1:30. We'll stand in recess, or y'all can be excused. You guys hang on. Y'all can be excused. I'm going to get him out, and I'm going to let him get that Okay. They want to, the foreperson handed the bailiff a note on the way out the door for lunch. This is, I think this is 8 because the lunch was 7, I think. No, it's 8 and 9, I think. I don't know. They want to watch the video from the 18th. This was the interview. I'm not sure. Is he still out there?
Who? The foreman?
Foreman. Because it says this was the interview question mark, and I don't know if he's wanting to say first or last or some other descriptive, and I want to make sure I know what he wants. If he's still out there, ask him to step in here, because it goes on to say we would prefer to have this ready once we're done with lunch. So I want to have it queued up. Um,
11:18 was the first interview.
the 18th.
Yeah, November 18th.
Yeah.
It's the first one, Judge.
All right. So the bailiff confirmed that. Next time, bring him in here and let me ask the questions, just so that we make sure nobody said anything they shouldn't have said. But the bailiff confirmed that the 18th, the first interview, is what they want to watch. So let's. The body cam video needs to go back to the court reporter if it's still in the thing, and then y'all go ahead and get that queued up for me.
State 62.
Yeah, so that's going to be state 62, and we'll watch that. Y'all be back about 1:15 so that we can get in here and get that done. The bailiffs can go to lunch in shifts so that we can, you Bob just, okay? All right, we'll stand in recess. Oh, wait. One other thing. We had some discussion, the lawyers and I had some discussion in chambers about whether or not they were entitled to know the count, well, which way the count was going, based on the note that the juror sent out. I'm going to stand by my ruling on that issue, and in doing that, I'm I'm relying on some language in Smith v. State, which is a Supreme Court case, 302 Georgia 717, which also references Sears, which is 270 Georgia 838. So just for the record, I shared all of the contents of the note except for which way the count was going. and candidly, it was not identified using the terms guilty and not guilty, but was identified in other ways from which I think that would be the only conclusion the parties could draw, and I don't think that's proper. But I did share the count as to each charge, which I think the parties are entitled to know, and we've responded accordingly. So let's make sure that light's off every time we take a note from them, and we'll stand and recess until 1:30.
Yes, ma'am.
And y'all make sure you're back so that we can
We'll get it taken care of.
play that video as soon as they're all back. So maybe a few minutes before 1:30 in case they're fast. Seated. All right, we got everybody back, so we'll bring them in and watch this video. You can bring them in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have requested the opportunity to review this video, so we're going to play this for you now for the record. This is State's Exhibit 62.
Friday, I paid my daycare. And he was complaining slightly about his stomach, but he said it once and didn't say anything else. So the next morning, Saturday morning, he woke up and he had this bump in his eye, on the side of his eye, and two under it. And he was just rubbing it, so I was just like, he's so used to having allergic reactions that I just thought it was another allergic reaction. So when he rubbed it, the eye swelled up, and I gave him some Benadryl, and he was taking Benadryl all day Saturday, every 6 hours, all day Sunday, every 6 hours. And then on Sunday, I cooked dinner, and he was happy, nothing was wrong. He ate, and then after he ate at night, I put him in bed. He usually washes his cars, and he said, "Oh, my stomach hurts. My stomach hurts." And I said, "Okay, baby, just lay down." And
No, what time?
that was Sunday night.
Okay.
He started throwing up. And it's not uncommon for him to do it. He's been to the doctor multiple times. But just randomly just throwing up all over the place. So I didn't think anything of it when he started throwing up. That it was just a virus. I did what they always tell me to do, give me some Pedialyte, and lay down. I went to work on Monday.
How many times you been through?
Once on his little bean bag, on the floor, on the couch. We walked around the house for a little bit. I gave him a bath because he was all nasty and as soon as I gave him a bath, he threw up again. So I told him to just go and stop giving him juice. Gave him some Pedialyte under the bed that night on Monday. He threw up in the bed, and that was alarming because whenever he threw up, he did it when he was awake, and so he never done it when he was sleeping.
Well, you couldn't know.
Monday night, I went in the room, and I saw him doing on himself. So I picked him up, and I took his shirt off, and I put him in the other bed. He had 2 beds in his room. And when I went in, he kind of whined like I was hurting him. And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Okay." He said, "My stomach hurts." My stomach hurts. I said, "Okay, baby, just go back to sleep." I said, "You'll feel better in the morning."
Can you tell me about what happened?
Probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so Monday night.
Yeah. I got up for work that morning. And I went in the room to check on him. And he was kind of laying off the bed. And so I pushed him back on the bed. And he kind of nudged me in the wrong crying. And that's when I said, "Are you okay, baby?" He said, "What's funny?" I said, "You want to go lay down with Kianna? That's my boyfriend." He said, "Mm-hmm." And I said, "Okay." I went in the room. I finished getting dressed. Kianna got him and laid down with me in the bed. And I went in the room and I kissed him and he was just laying. I don't know, I swear. I'm so cautious during this time because during this time of year he always gets sick. He has a lot of respiratory issues, so I'm so cautious. If something was wrong, I would have known. I would have saw it. He was just laying there. He said, "Put it on me." He gave me a kiss. I left.
Was he having any breathing issues at all? No breathing issues?
No, I really back when I gave him a kiss. I know he had breathing issues. I'm used to it.
Right.
So I went to work. I work in Jones County.
And you left about what time?
I left at 7:15.
Okay.
I got in Jones County around 8:30, 8:15. I stopped and got gas. I went to the school. I was there for about 10 minutes when my boyfriend called me. He said, "Carter he was weak. He was weak." And he was on FaceTime with me the whole time. He said, "He's breathing weird." I said, "Well, just go get his treatment and just give him a treatment."
At what time did you say call you?
This is about 9. Because I didn't enter my class. I have a class at 9:30. I was called from Jones County before the class even started, so it was between 9 and 9:30.
Okay. So did you see him on the video?
I did.
Okay. How was it when you saw him?
He was looking dead at me, that's why. I had to see his chest. I remember I said, "Let me see his chest." He said he was retracted in the middle because that's what I'm used to doing. And he pulled up his shirt, he wasn't retracted, so I said, "Okay, just give him a treatment." And he said, "He just looked weak." He said, "I'm about to take him to the doctor." I said, "Okay." I said, just get there." And he left. He was on the phone with me the whole time. His doctor's office is literally right beside my house. He raced them there when they were on the phone. All I heard was the doctors just grab him and sneeze. He got a pulse, but I was just, I wanted to drive. I was trying to get here. I don't know what happened. That's all I Yes.
Okay. But she's not exactly sure of the thing.
I'm almost positive it has to do around 9. I got to Jones County at 8:30. I was only in the room by myself, just not on the phone with anybody. I was by myself getting the class ready for about 15-20 minutes.
Okay, no. So I want you to think about when he called you, video called you, and showed him to you. Can you describe him to me? Was he making noises?
He didn't make any noises. He was talking.
He was talking?
He was talking. He had the mask on his face, so I really couldn't hear anything. The mask, the breathing machine was going, but he looked at me and nothing.
So he was already on the breathing machine?
He was on the breathing machine.
When he called you?
Now he called me. He wasn't on it when he called me, but he said he's not breathing on me. I had to just get him the breathing treatment. I told him where it was. It was in a larger room at the top of the counter on the top, and I said just get it and give him a treatment. I said give him the phone because he takes 2 different ones.
So he said he wasn't breathing?
He said he wasn't breathing regularly.
Okay.
That's why I asked to see his chest.
But you said he was talking?
He was talking. Before that, he said that I wasn't there. So, I mean, during the process, I heard him. He was talking. Something was wrong. If I would have thought something was wrong, there's just no way that I would have even said not do the breathing treatment. That's always my first step, do the breathing treatment. And that after that, I learned to just check the breathing. It's not right. I go straight to the doctor and I let them do the treatments and do the steroids and everything there. I'm never.
When's the last time he's had any kind of breathing attack?
He got a virus a couple months back. But
And what did he have to be treated for that?
he had to get a steroid shot. They usually just give him a shot immediately because if they don't, his O2 levels go down and he wasn't even, I think he's at like a 92 that day. So they just gave it to him because they know how bad it can get. The entire doctor is very aware of Carter and all of his issues.
Yes. Do you have your phone? Can I ask you to give me the time that you called me?
Not 15.
Called you 9:15?
Yes, sir.
Where was he at when he called you?
No, I'm sorry. This is a FaceTime call. At 8:35, he FaceTimed me.
Okay, all right. 8:35.
I called my boss right after and told her I was sleeping.
So, what room of the house was he in when he called you?
My bedroom.
He was in the bedroom?
Because they were laying in the bed before I left.
Now, I understand that he said something about that he had bowel movements. Do you know what point that took place?
I wasn't on the phone at that point. He called me right after that, after the bowel movement. That's when I got the call.
Okay. Do you know if he done anything in particular after the bowel movement was
He
in?
was on the phone with me the whole time. After the bowel movement is when he called me. And that's when everything happened so fast. Happened so fast, I wouldn't know.
It's really hard to know what's taking place sometimes.
Do you know if when you on the phone, like it's cleaning the bathroom home?
No.
Okay.
Do you know how he cleaned them? Okay. And so did Kianna, right?
Yes.
Right. Did he spend the night?
Yes, he been there since Sunday night.
Did
we just started back in August.
Chief Kevin, before?
He has, his daughter, he has a 3-year-old daughter too, so.
Okay.
So he comes down and says,
So he's been, doesn't know all the medical issues that he has?
he does. I was fully equipped him. That's why he knew what to do. Because I already showed him once before. The car had to take a treatment there. I showed him how to do it. He knew. Everyone around him knew. I made sure that.
So you're on FaceTime, and I'm sorry to go through it, but you're on FaceTime with him, you see him checks his chest, see he's breathing, and
Nothing about it was alarming as if he was having an asthma attack like he was already having.
Did you, at what point was you on the phone with him the whole time from that point? Or?
The whole time from that point.
So kind of walk me, if you would, through it best you can. From that point, okay, he called you, he already had bombs. Had he thrown up anymore after you left?
No.
No? Okay. So he called you, says that he's, what exactly does he say to you when he called you?
He doesn't look like he was weak.
Okay.
He said he's not breathing normally.
Okay.
So I said, let me see. That's why I said, let me see, because he said he's not breathing normally. And I know when my child is about to go under certain stress.
Okay. Well, you didn't think that's...
No.
Okay. So that was in the bedroom?
Yes, he was in the bedroom. He already had the mask on. He was doing treatment. When he lifted up his shirt and showed
So
me.
he already had the mask on?
Yes.
But he didn't have the mask on when he called you?
No. So he ran out the mask.
Okay.
Put the mask on. I walked him through. I let this car drive it.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm driving in the car. I'm still on the phone the whole time.
Okay. And what was he wearing?
A yellow shirt.
Okay. So he's in the bedroom on the floor, you said?
No, he's on sitting on the
He's
bed.
on the bed? Okay. That's where he's getting breathing treatment?
That's where he was getting treatment.
Okay.
He had the mask on. He showed him to me and said, let me see him. I said, you okay, baby? I said, let me see his chest.
So he answered you when he asked you okay?
But he was very faint because he had his mask on. But he did like this.
Okay. How long do you think, I know it's a tough question, but how long do you think after he called you that he had the mask on in bed and you saw him talking? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
It wasn't 5 minutes. It wasn't that long.
Okay,
It
so
happened so fast.
you just went within a few minutes of him calling?
Within a few minutes, because he called me because he looked weak and he said, he's not breathing on, so I immediately said, go get the treatment. I didn't ask any questions or anything before he put the mask on.
Was he, who had the shirt on and the pants on?
He had, when I left, he had everything was sleeping pants, so.
When he was in the bed, was he wrapped up? Was he just on top of the covers?
He was wrapped up, he threw up on the covers.
But that was good. And he threw up on the covers at what point?
That was when he was in the bed before I moved him.
Before he moved?
Yes, he didn't throw up again when I got up that morning for work.
Did he eat anything other than I know y'all said you got a Pedialyte?
He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't drink anything, but that's his normal whenever he was throwing up like that. He doesn't even like Pedialyte, so I wasn't even surprised that he wouldn't really drink that. He would drink the juice though. And I stopped giving it to him because that's what he was throwing up.
Do you know what he ate all weekend?
I cooked, beef tips and rice on Sunday. Saturday, he just had beefaroni and then we went Saturday, we went to my granddaddy's house. And I cooked dinner on him for granddaddy. He was fine. He was walking around, running around with his toys, nothing out of the ordinary. Other than that morning when his eye was swollen, he was on Benadryl that whole day because he was still.
And tell me about what, it was a Sunday morning that he had, or Saturday?
Saturday morning when his eye got swollen.
Okay, so,
And we usually wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning because we're still on my work schedule, so we won't still get up early. So as soon as we woke up, is when I noticed the bump on his eye, and he was just rubbing it.
that was around 6 o'clock Saturday?
No, 6 o'clock Saturday.
So he didn't have it Friday?
No.
Okay. Now, can you describe the bumps to me?
It almost looked like not a sty, but it was right here in the corner of his eye. It was not a small circle, it was noticeable and it was puffy. And then he had two kind of under his eye, but they were a little bit smaller in size. But when he was rubbing his eye, it instantly swelled, like it was shut. Like it would have been a drill.
Did it look like balls or did it look like just
That's what I thought. I thought it was body. It didn't look like a pimple because it didn't look like it had pus in it or anything.
So he rubbed it, really swelled up.
I gave him a Benadryl.
The night before, or since the night before when he had beef tips and rice, he had anything
No,
else
that was, he had beef tips and rice on Sunday.
on Sunday?
Sunday night. I cooked it.
Saturday was a beefaroni?
Yes. And we also ate at my grandfather's house, so we had, because I went over there and I cooked Saturday, we had, cube steak and mashed potatoes.
What do y'all have on Friday?
I'm sorry, you probably say some beef from I didn't cook. It was Saturday. It was fully.
Is that at your grandma's house?
Yes.
Let me ask you this, so you said Saturday morning he had the bumps and he rubbed in his eye swell and he gave him Benadryl. Did it reduce the swelling?
Yes.
So,
We just went there.
okay.
We went to my grandfather's house at 12. He took a little nap at the house because I gave him Benadryl, so it kind of made me sleepy. We got up and we started at 12:15, 12:30. And I went over there and he went back to sleep because that's his normal nap time. So I made him go to bed. And I cooked.
So what time did you get back home?
On Saturday, I'm not sure. It was after 5.
Okay. But you went to your granddad's at what time?
At 12:15, 12:30.
And that was on
Saturday.
Saturday.
So, while you were at the so before you left for the grandfather's house, was his eye like back home?
Yes. Not back to normal.
Well, it went down.
Yes.
Was it swollen at all while you were at the
It was
grandfather's
still
house?
swollen, just not, one of the things that you have to know is I was swollen for you to notice that it was swollen. A couple weeks before that, he ate a bag of chips. And his eye got swollen again. And they gave him something for that.
What kind of chips?
Sour cream and onion. And it was strange because I bought him a bag and he had never ate that kind of before, but he eats all the other chips in the bag and he's never had a reaction to it. And when he ate that bag of chips for 5 minutes, his lip, his face, everything was just swollen. I'm trying to like, go get you from the doctor. Here.
What allergies do you know that he has?
They haven't tested, and that has been my problem. Every time I've asked for him to be tested for allergies, and they kept saying he's too young. I know when he was smaller, he couldn't drink regular milk. I couldn't just use the regular baby milk cans. He had to go to soy milk because the regular baby milk was making him vomit all the time. So, and they made me switch his milk. I had to get his milk switched just on my own. I just decided to change it to the soy because it just wasn't working. But he went switch it over, he went test them.
Have you ever had a reaction with anybody like second smoke, get my smoke around this?
We don't smoke around him. He has.
Do you know if he's ever had a reaction to it?
No. He only had a reaction to the chips, his brain reactions to the milk, then the viruses. Anytime he gets sick with the virus, he always goes respiratory stress. Every time. It started when he was 1, the day after his birthday. We spent 3 minutes in the ICU. It's never really gotten better, and this time of the year I'm always so cautious.
Think of anything else he's had an allergic reaction to?
The one I don't even know if he has an eye reaction to because he had just woke up, so it was very random.
Had he had any new medication that weekend at all?
No.
Other than that?
No.
What medication is he on other than crazy?
He takes an allergy medicine that's prescribed from his doctor. It's kind of like Claritin. He takes that once a day. 5 milligrams, and he takes budesonide once in the morning, once during the season, once in the morning, once in the evening, and that'll be raw if he starts having breathing issues every 4 hours.
No inhaler?
No, he has an inhaler, but he doesn't like it. He just uses the breathing treatment.
You know if the inhaler was tried at all?
Yeah, I tried the inhaler. He just.
I'm talking about that one.
No. No, I even said it to the breathing treatment because I already knew he wasn't going to do the inhaler. He just doesn't like it.
I need to back up a little bit to where you were on the phone. Okay. So you're on the phone. He's in the bedroom on the bed. You're leave at that point or some point, and then you say you were driving.
Oh, yes. Okay. As soon as he told me that he was not breathing okay or not breathing normally, I ran out of Jones County.
Okay. Did you see at what point he moved him from the bed anywhere else?
Because he put the phone down, to go get the treatment out of the laundry room where I told him, I guess lay on the bed. Couldn't see anything because at that point I was driving, trying to get to him. I just know that I told him, I said, let me see him.
Did you see him any more after that on the phone? Do you know at what point he left the house?
Within the breathing treatment, he gave the breathing treatment, and while he was doing the breathing treatment, I don't even remember what he said. I just know that he said, no, something's not right. And he said, I'm taking it. He took the breathing treatment off. He ran out the door. I was on the phone the whole time. I'm sure my neighbors said, they have like a little ring.
Yeah. That's fine. We just have to figure out the timeline of everything, that's all. himself, right? He's had history in this city.
Every time he would get sick or throw up, that's not normal. They kept saying it might be stomach virus. It could be stomach virus.
When was that last time you had a stomach virus?
It was this year.
Do you know anything that he ate Friday at the daycare that made?
No, I wasn't having this much, and usually I don't even know what I packed that day, but usually it's between beef bologna or I'll work at one around on Fridays. I don't even know if I pick that day, bring them lunch, everything. It's just
Have you went to the store recently for any of that stuff, or is that stuff you had in the cabinet?
because I went to the store maybe a week ago and I got everything he needed for the weekend. His daycare lady, her nephew has the same kind of gluten treatment, so I trusted her with him. She knows how to give him his treatments if something's wrong. It's just aware all the time.
But it was kind of sudden because he hadn't had that treatment for a while. Yeah. That morning when you left, he was not having any trouble at all breathing. He was sick of his stomach.
And he doesn't even like to lay on his stomach, but he was laying on his stomach.
Has he ever had a bad habit of getting anything or into anything in the house, like under the cabinets, or is there anything around that he could have
No,
drank?
never.
Y'all used any poison or anything in the apartment lately or anything like that?
No.
No blood issues or anything?
I'll usually spray around the doors. During the summertime and stuff, during the wintertime, I don't even try to do it because bugs aren't even out, so we have pest control come by, so, but I usually still, I'm very cautious, so I go around the door edges and,
Has pest control been by lately?
I don't know their schedule, they come once a month, they just, do it on their own.
They come inside?
They usually do come inside. And, spray, and they'll leave their cards to let you know they've been there.
Can you remember the last time? But you say every month?
I don't think it's every month. They're on a schedule, and I know it's on Fridays for sure. It's the only days that they come by. Because if I ever see any bugs, and I have to call and get them to come out and do something, they always be on a Friday when they can come.
Now, I know it's probably no reaction, but the stomach issues like that, or at least to that severity, has that ever happened like that before?
No. Whenever he started growing up, of course, he said hurt, but he really just started talking, so this is the first time that he could tell me when his stomach hurts, but he we still just point. But I knew it was because he throwing up and he just, knew where it was coming from. But he always point to it. So I didn't think it wasn't alarming. That's what he said. What's your word?
When's the last time Kianna was kicked?
It's been a while since we've been down. He normally keeps both of them because they're always there together.
So Monday you said you went to work. So who kept, and Monday did you go to the kid?
No, Monday, he was with him.
So you with Kianna all day Monday?
Yes.
At your house? Did they go anywhere?
No, I don't allow that.
Do you know if Kianna fed anything that day, or did you put out food?
I know I told him that if he, because I cooked Sunday, I said if he's hungry, you give him food that I fixed last night. Give him a little bit because Carter doesn't really like meat, so I told him to mix it. And hide the meat in the rice, and he did give him some that day.
Gave her some of the,
Yeah, some of the meat tips and rice that I cooked on Sunday.
Did Kianna report any kind of car accident at all on
So
that?
it was peeing on himself. We're in the process of high training, and I put the underwear on Carter. He knows not to pee on himself. So I said, put the underwear on him because he's probably peeing on himself because of the pull-up. He put the pull-up, he took the pull-up off, put the underwear on, and he went to sleep, and he said he still peed on himself. I said, that's weird because Carter knows better. But I just didn't think it. And he just kept peeing on himself.
that was during the day Monday?
And again, was how he turned it so.
Right.
But I don't even know if he has enough underwear that he goes to the potty.
So, did you leave, what time did you leave for work?
Same time, 7:15.
What time did you arrive home?
I usually get off at 4:30 because on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays I work in Warner Robins first, and then I head to Jones County. And I leave Jones County around 4:15, so that I can get back to Warner Robins and drop off the car to the school and get back home. So I probably work about 5:30.
So, Kianna's pretty much hung out all day at the house with him.
And I FaceTime him during the day, all day like I normally do, because I have to talk to her all day. He was fine, talking, hi mommy. Did you eat? No. Nothing's wrong.
What was he, how much compliance did he have with his stomach?
To me, just when I woke him up. And then that was just the one time that day. He didn't say anything else that day about his stomach hurting. He said it that one time.
Nothing Monday during the day except when you woke him up.
Just when I woke him up, my stomach hurts.
And was that the two?
No, that was Monday, because he was throwing up all day Monday. And then Tuesday morning, when I went in the room and I moved him, that's when he said it again. He said, "Mommy, stomach hurt me." He had said it twice.
Do you remember when was the first time you were one day?
I wasn't there. And that was what I'm thinking, because when I was at the floor, Kianna thought that he had just spilled his juice, because Carter likes to take his top off his juice and throw it everywhere. And I got in the house and I said, no, let's throw it, because I could see the spit things in the floor. And I tried to clean my carpet with the carpet cleaner. When I walked in the house, he was laying on the couch, and he was sleeping, and he woke up when I walked in, and there was throws all over him. And that's when I went, gave him a bag, because it was nasty. I gave gave him a bath, and it had to have just happened because the girl was fresh. I went and I gave him a bath, and then I put on his clothes, and I went in the kitchen and started dinner, and he was right there on my shoulder, and then all of a sudden he just started vomiting again, just more and more vomiting in the kitchen. So I cleaned him up, I took the shirt off. He didn't vomit anymore that night until in the middle of the night when I went in and checked up, he had throw up in his bed. And that's when I said, that's odd, because he never throws up in his sleep. He'll throw up in the day, and I didn't give him any more juice or anything.
What was the juice?
It was Hawaiian punch. It was the mango something flavor. It was orange.
Was Kianna's daughter there?
That's wrong. She would be, but she's looking for her mom this week because he has full custody of her. She was supposed to go with her mom, so he left her in Atlanta. Her mom didn't come. We were supposed to go back and get her on Wednesday. So she's grateful that she wasn't here because he would have never made it to the doctors.
That's why I'm sure about this right. So when you got home Monday, he had already thrown up, he was laying on the couch.
He had thrown up while he was laying on the couch, but like I said, he looked like he was waking up from a nap because when I walk in the door, my door chime goes off and he knows when I'm coming home. And as soon as he sat up, he did like this. He said, "Mommy," gave me a big hug. Nothing was wrong, out of the ordinary, so I just went in the bath and he was, "Mommy, I'm nasty." I said, "I know, baby." He took a bowl bath, played with his toys. I took him out. We went in the kitchen so I could start dinner because he liked to cook with me. And he just started throwing up in the kitchen. And I was like, "Okay, baby, go lay down, go lay down." And then that night he ate dinner. And that's what I'm saying. He was fine that night that he threw up. He was in his room. I put him in his high chair and we watched cars. And I felt that we were singing and nothing was wrong.
No breathing issues at all?
He was smiling, laughing, singing, talking. So I thought he was feeling better. Until the morning, to the middle of the night, and he threw up and I was like, "Okay, when he's not feeling better." So I picked him up, I put him on another bed, and he had my both hurting him. And that should have alarmed me, but I just thought maybe his stomach really hurts. So we lay down and I kissed him and we normally, we have this thing where we kiss each other but we suck on each other's face. So come on, certain thing. I did that and he laughed. I went back to sleep. Woke up hours. Immediately got up and checked on him.
And what time was that before you talking about?
I normally get up. My alarm was off at 6. I had to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning because I know when I went and lay back down, I only got about 2 more hours of sleep before it was time for me to get up and get ready for work. I went in the room and I checked him. He was kind of laying on the bed, and I pushed him back over like I normally do. He just moaned. He said, "Oh, he sounded hurt." And I said, "Okay, baby, lay down here. You want to go lay with Kianna?" Because I asked because I was leaving, I had to get ready, and so I was just going to put him in the room with Kianna. And when I was getting dressed, Kianna went and got him. And they were laying in bed together. He was laying on his stomach.
You know, wide awake, just trying to sleep.
They're both wide awake. He had got a towel and laid on his stomach so that if he threw up again, he wouldn't get himself dirty or bed or whatever. And he was just laying there. I walked over before I left. I gave him both a kiss. Carter, I put my hand on his back because he was laying on Kim's chest, and I felt him. He was breathing fine. Gave him a kiss. He said, "Bye, mommy." And I walked out.
You said you moved from his bed to the other bed somewhere. Did he throw up in that other bed at all?
No, not the bigger bed, but he threw it out.
And do you know in his bed what part of his bed he had thrown up in or where the throw was?
The little bed that he was laying on, there was a big circle of just throw juice. His bed is not that big, so it kind of took up that entire middle part of the bed, which is why I moved him, because it was too much to even try to clean that night or do anything with him, so I just put him in another bed.
Did you sleep at all?
He slept good.
You slept good?
He didn't wake up in the middle of the night. He didn't whine. And he's a crybaby, so normally we were still sleep training and trying to get him used to sleeping in his own bed without me, because he normally would sleep with me on weekends. So whenever he wanted to come down, I tried to get him to sleep in his own room. And he always, if he wanted me, he'd stand at my door and knock on my door, but lately he's just been getting better at it. So he slept the whole night, didn't whine. Only whined when I touched him. It was just when I touched him, but it was just strange, because when he was laying down, he wasn't complaining about anything. He didn't say he hurt me. He was fine.
So that morning when you got up to start getting ready to work, did he complain at all about something, or was he still?
Yes.
Okay.
One time, and I said, "Okay, baby, just lay down. Do you want to go live with Kianna?"
How long does he normally stay on this when he does the breathing treatments? How long does he normally stay on that?
One of them it takes about 15 minutes to finish. The other one's a little bit longer. But he finishes all of it. He does even, so I would do the breathing treatment because he's used to that one. They give it to him at the doctor's office and at the hospital whenever he goes, so he's just used to sitting on that one.
You were on the phone with him the entire time he was on the breathing machine?
He wasn't on it long. He was not on it long. Because I gave Kianna just move like, no.
You said the other one takes longer. What was the other one?
He's on two. He's on budesonide, and then he's on albuterol. The albuterol is the one that takes a little bit longer. It's the bigger one. I think the budesonide takes about 10 minutes, and maybe the albuterol takes 15 or whatever. But I do know that when he had the reactions to the viruses, the only thing that will really keep him from having to go to the doctor is if I catch it early and I start giving him the allergy medicine, which is why they prescribed it to him with refills, because it just was the only thing that would help prevent his airways from reacting.
What medicine did you give him for that?
Let's see, he is that. his, the first one.
It's interesting. Do you remember the last time you went to his dad's house?
It was recent, the weekend of November the 7th. Yeah, that weekend. Can't remember if it was Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday, Monday.
You contact Dad about it, and see.
I did. I tried to call him Monday night, and I asked him if he could take off work because I didn't want him to be at the house without one of us because we know his condition, and I would just feel better if his dad would have him because he works for the EMT and he's a firefighter, so I just would have felt better if he said that he couldn't take off because he had to work. So, and I couldn't take off from work.
Sure. Davis, I do appreciate you talking with us this morning. So, sorry about you having to go through this. I gave you my call yesterday. You contact me if there's anything at all. Just call me, okay? Sure we'll talking again. Mr. Davis, talk to me in a few minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have watched 2 videos. I would just remind you that it's only a portion of all of the evidence that was presented to you. And as you consider your deliberations, you should not emphasize one piece of evidence or the other simply because you've seen these 2 particular videos twice, okay? Keep all the evidence that you've seen in mind and you may return to the jury room. Anything before we recess?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right, we'll stand in recess till we hear from us.